Be more than human. And welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we are finally reviewing one of the legendary sci-fi books of all time, and that is Dan Simmons' Hyperion. Now, this is a book that's been on my radar for quite some time. It's a book that gets a lot of love on BookTube. I want to say it was like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It was getting a lot of love, and then it kind of, a bunch of people do it, kind of goes away, and I feel like we're kind of back into another cycle of people reviewing Hyperion. And I want to say this came out in the early 90s, and it's a group of, it's known as the Hyperion Cantos. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. But it's a group of four books, and this first book has been on my radar forever. Only thing I knew is that it's a sci-fi book, one of the big top pillar sci-fi books. And only other thing I know is that Dan Simmons also writes horror. So I was like, oh, okay. And I haven't read, and this is the first Dan Simmons book I've read. Now, I've listened to other people review Dan Simmons books. So, I know that he does horror. And so I was like, okay, well, this should be interesting. And as we got into it, it was apparent right off the bat, he's an amazing writer. Can't, if you don't take anything else away from Hyperion, is that he is an amazing writer. And the feel of his writing, now it's two different genres, but I have this feel of Malazan, of Steven Erikson-ish. Now, for some people, they hear that, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" And other people will be like, "Well, where are we going with this?" Malazan, and I am on the Malazan kind of. I've done 3 Malazan books, as you guys, if you've watched, I kind of stepped away from Malazan. So it started making me feel like Malazan, and I was like, but I really enjoyed the first half of this book. Wonderful, and the way he does this, it's very much like he gives you a bit of current story, and then you have these 7 people who then will be like, oh, here's how we got to this point, and then you get their backstory. Now, Hyperion itself is a planet, and there's a lot of again, this is sci-fi, so you have, I want to say this is something like 800 or 900 years in the future, and there's a set of AI, like an AI community that has kind of stepped away from humanity, and they do their own thing. But they kind of jump in from time to time to make sure that we're not screwing things up too badly. But as far as like the world building itself, that most of this book is centered around these backstories, and all of these backstories are very tragic. There's something tragic about it. And Hyperion itself, there is a weird time travel / time manipulation thing that goes on around Hyperion itself. And there's also a being called the Shrike that you'll see it on the cover. It has all these spikes all over it, and it is worshipped by some people, but others it's known as the bringer of pain. something along those lines. And other people, hate the thing and try to kill it. But yeah, so um, a lot of, if you like short stories, you're really gonna like this because again, each of these individuals has their own short story, and there's something tragic that lays within each of this. Very dark, for the most part. Especially there's one where there's a guy and his daughter contracts this time-like disease from Hyperion, where she kind of gets the Benjamin Button thing going on, the reverse thing, and we all you know where that's going, right? And so it's very tragic. Um, One thing I'll say about Dan Simmons is he likes to write sex scenes a lot. He writes them for a multitude of different characters, and then each one of those characters gets multiple sex scenes in this book. I almost feel like he's like, you know what? I'm gonna write a book, but I just, I'm trying to get to the sex scenes. All the rest of the story doesn't matter. I just need to. No, it's not that bad, but there is a lot of sex scenes. Yeah. As far as this book being one of the best sci-fi books ever, like I said, the second half of the book kind of slowed down for me. I would definitely like the first half of the book. I would give it I don't do star ratings, but I would give it 5 out of 5 stars at the beginning, and then the back end is like a 2.5. So it's somewhere around a 3.5 if I was gonna star rate it. But I definitely want to check out the next book because I feel like it's gonna be a lot faster paced and a lot more solid, cohesive story in the second one. Let me know. Have you read Hyperion? Have you read the Hyperion Cantos? Have you read all of them? What can I expect? From the next books, and how did you like it, or is this book been on your radar? Let me know, and remember, be more than human.